Okay. Well, oh, somebody's here.
And if you'll notice, I'm new.
Yes,
Yes,
I'm Reverend Mykal.
Michael, my name's Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
I'm Reba.
Hi, Reba. Yeah, I found Science Mind back in 87, 88.
Ah, morning, Sherry.
Good morning, Reverend. How are you?
Okay.
Well, that's good. There's, my grandson was getting is getting a kimono.
Oh.
For I guess for Rosh Hashanah for a present, and I told him about you, and I think Stephanie made yours, right, or something.
Well, I don't think she made them. I don't know if she did. She's on here, so.
She designed them.
Upside down.
Yeah. So anyhow, I told him how much I enjoy watching when you wear yours. So that was cool.
Okay, it's about time to start. So I'm going to mute. No, not myself. Oh, that would be interesting.
Let's not be that discombobulated.
Oh, I thought there was somebody else there. Okay, anyway. Well, good morning. My name is Reverend Mykal Amaré, and here we are on a beautiful, actually the sun is coming out on Sunday morning. Northern Lights Spiritual Center is a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. Northern Lights Spiritual Center offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes in our lives. And our promise statement is to inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify your greatness. We acknowledge our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and the coastal Salish peoples. These peoples are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of indigenous histories as we work toward honoring and inviting truth. And then we also have a labor acknowledgement. We acknowledge that much of what we know of this country today, including its culture, economic growth, and development, throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their descendants who suffered the horror of the transatlantic trafficking of their people, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who toil with little recognition. We are indebted to their labor and their sacrifice, and we must acknowledge the tremors of the violence throughout their generations and resulting impact that can be felt and witnessed today. And so, we're going to, Reba will recognize this. This is the song we opened with, and
in this very room,
that's Reverend Vaughn.
there's quite enough love for all. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room.
Okay. And now is the time we take each Sunday for a brief meditation. And today's meditation is a guided meditation, and you see it on the screen also. So I just invite you just to try to relax wherever you are and get as comfortable as you can and release everything that has come before this moment. Allowing yourself to center, to be calm, to be still.
Breathe deeply. Allow your body to relax. Feel a wave of relaxation moving through your body. Now gently focus your attention on your breathing. Just allow the breath to take you into a quieter and quieter space. If you find your attention wandering, just gently bring it back to an awareness of your breath. Breathing in, breathing out, allowing your body to relax more and more fully. Now as you breathe in, think to yourself, I am. And as you breathe out, think to yourself, at peace. Breathing in, I am. Breathing out, at peace. And if you find your mind wandering, gently bring it back to that simple phrase. Breathing in, I am. Breathing out, at peace. As you relax your mind and body more and more, you connect more fully with the inner wisdom that you have. Now imagine you are walking along a peaceful country lane that goes through a lovely meadow. It's a beautiful day. The temperature is just the right temperature for you. You look around and you see the colors. The green trees and grass, the brightly colored wildflowers. A slight breeze caresses your cheek, and you hear the gentle rustling of the leaves in the trees. You feel so at peace, so connected to yourself and all of life. Then up ahead, you notice that the path curves to the left. And just at the place where it curves, there's a large billboard with your name on it and a message you need in your life right now. As you slowly walk closer to the billboard, the message becomes clear. You continue walking as the path curves to the left. Along each side of the path are tall, graceful trees that arch together high over your head, forming a canopy. As you continue walking, you look down and notice there is something just along the side of the path. It's a treasure for you to have on your journey. Intuitively, you know the meaning of this treasure. You can pick it up and take it with you, or leave it where it is and retrieve it later. You continue walking, and off to your right you can see a circle of trees filled with light. You begin walking toward that circle, but just before you get there, you see a large box labeled, "Deposit all your fears and concerns here." You begin pulling any fears or concerns out of your body and put them into the box. The box is large enough to hold all of them. You can feel yourself getting lighter and lighter as you let go of your fears and concerns. When you're complete, you move into this beautiful circle of light. You dance around it feeling so joyful and light. You feel such gratitude for your connection with the earth, spirit, and all of life. Then you notice that there's a beautiful place to sit right in the center of this circle. You go over and sit down. This is a place where you can listen to your inner wisdom very clearly. You now ask this inner wisdom, what is my purpose? What is my life purpose? And just listen quietly for the answer. Then you ask, what are my unique skills and abilities for expressing my purpose? What are my unique skills and abilities for expressing my purpose? Again, listen quietly for the answer. And then ask, how can I best express my purpose? How can I best express my purpose? Again, listening quietly for the answer. And finally, ask this inner wisdom, How do I start? How do I start? Listening quietly for the answer. Now prepare to leave this beautiful circle of light, knowing that you can return here anytime you wish to contact your inner wisdom again. Imagine walking back along the path, under the canopy of trees, and out through the meadow. When you feel ready, bring your awareness back to the room you're in and the current time and place. Take a deep breath. Stretch. Open your eyes. Get your journal and take a few minutes to write about the insights from this meditation.
And so it is. Interesting, the discussion we were having prior to the service about being tired and this and that, and she was talking about, getting your energy back. I think. So today's reading is from Science of Mind magazine, September of 2019. And it's called Ride the Roller Coaster. I wish that life would not be cheap, but sacred. I wish the days to be as centuries, loaded, fragrant. That was Ralph Waldo Emerson. Radiant life, there is that within which is the center and circumference of the universe. That's from the Science of Mind book. On his 16th birthday, my oldest grandson wanted to spend the day at a local amusement park. He wanted to ride the roller coaster, and he wanted his dad and me to ride with him. So I did, and I could hardly wait to get off. I felt as though I'd been in a wrestling match with a rattlesnake, and it won. Life is precious and sacred, but we don't all feel the same way. For some of us, life is an experience to get through, like the roller coaster ride I reluctantly took. Some want to be done with life as quickly as possible. For others, it flies by too fast, even though we savor each moment. When we consider that at the center of every life, every person, there is that which is, as Ernest Holmes says, the center and circumference of the universe. Then we begin to look at our life and others in a more sacred way. We know at the heart of every person there is that. We live as beloved, sacred beings. All of us, no matter what the color of our skin, what language we speak, what God or none we acknowledge and love. Find divine compassion in the journey. And the affirmation is, all life is sacred, eternal, and precious. Life is God. I hold it close and embrace everything as sacred. And so it is.
Who wrote the affirmation or the daily guides for that month?
Oh, it says in the beginning. Yeah, they used to put it on each page.
No, it's usually just right at the beginning.
Oh, Reverend Gail Stewart.
Okay. I didn't get that month.
She was my mentor after I graduated ministerial school. Okay, and normally here we would have Reverend Vaughn's affirmation for the month, but I have something I think is appropriate. Wait, no, that's not what I wanted. I hit the wrong. All these buttons you got to hit. Oh, okay. Here we go. Except that big bar is in the way. This is short, but I feel it's.
These are roughly 28,835 jelly beans. I counted out 500 of them and used those to weigh the rest. In this pile, there's one jelly bean for each day that the average American will live. You might have more beans in your life, or maybe less, but on average, this is the time we have. Here's a single bean. It's your very first day. A special day, but kind of a rough day on everyone involved. Add 364 more and you have the first year of your life. Now, for a sense of scale, here are your first 15 years, 5,475 days, which brings us to the threshold of adulthood. And at that moment, this is the time that we have left. And this is, on average, what we will do with all that time. We will be asleep for a total of 8,477 days. If we're lucky, some of that time we'll be sleeping next to someone we love. We will be in the process of eating, drinking, or preparing food for 1,635 days. We'll be at work, hopefully doing something satisfying, for the equivalent of 3,202 of those days. 1,099 days will be spent commuting or traveling from one place to another, maybe a little bit more if you live in LA. On average, we will watch television in one form or another for a total of 2,676 days. Household activities like chores and tending to our pets and shopping will take another 1,576 days. And we will care for the needs and well-being of others, our friends and family, for 564 days. We'll spend 671 days bathing, grooming, and doing all other bathroom-related activities. And another 720 days will go to community activities like religious and civic duties, charities, and taking classes. After we remove all those beans, this is what remains. This is the time that we have left. Time for laughing, swimming, making art, going on hikes, text messages, reading, checking Facebook, playing softball, maybe even teaching yourself how to play the guitar. So what are you going to do with this time? How much of it do you think you've already used up? If you only had half of it, what would you do differently? What about half of that? How much time have you already spent worrying instead of doing something that you love? What if you just had one more day? What are you going to do today?
That was, I watched that and I go, it's interesting how you can break your life down into jelly beans, you know, it's, and it does, like in the reading, where was it? Time does go way too fast for me. And so now we'll play our before talk song, Jami.
Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me. A little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Feel like I'm walking on marbles. Can't steal the earth beneath my feet. Is my head in the clouds, my naked legs left dangling. I can feel my heart begin to pound. Everybody said something's calling me, little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me, little bit deeper than I've ever been before. On dark night my soul wanders, can't see the light that moves me. God is everything and everywhere that I belong. Spirit gently wakes me from my sleep. Something's calling me, little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me, little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, pull me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, I know I'm not the only one to live inside these blues. Oh Lord, I surrender my life to you. Oh Lord, I give my life, I give my love to you. Oh, love is calling me, little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Compassion's calling me, little bit deeper than I've ever been before. My faith keeps calling me, little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Peace is calling me, little bit deeper than I've ever been before. God is calling me, and I'm grateful like I've never been before.
Okay. That was Jami Lula with Something's Calling Me. I think the first time I heard that was we went, when first in ministerial school, went down to San Bernardino for our retreat. And that was, it kind of hit home. Well, today is, there's a couple things we recognize today. And the first one I want to recognize is it's Grandparents' Day. And I just wanted to share, this is my grandmother, my mother's mother, who I miss a lot to this day. She was an awesome person. And this is her, and then my stepfather's mother, who actually was my grandmother, and she's the one that taught me, I believe, unconditional love. She accepted my sister and I into the family, you know, equal as everybody, and it was always great to be around because she was an excellent baker. And then the next thing is the recognition of September 11th, 2001. I know exactly where I was and what I was doing. It was a powerful day. We had, in the United States, on our own soil, had never really had anything that devastating from outside our country. We did have the Civil War, which killed, you know, thousands and thousands of our Americans. So I just wanted to bring that to mind. I know nobody else ever thought of it today, but you know, but I always loved Grandparents' Day, because I would always send my grandmother a card, because she was in Wisconsin and I was here, and one year for some reason it was late, and so she contacted me. She said, "You didn't send me a card?" And I said, "I did send it, so she should be getting it." But it was like, you know, it's something that she looked forward to, which I like to do things like that. That's part of my I guess makeup or character or whatever. Now this month we're talking about work, and this week is going to be about creating a life that matters. And I was while the song was going on, I was thinking about this and about how, in the reading where it said, you know, life can go, for some people can, you know, just drudge on and they want to be through it, you know, I want out now, and others it goes so fast. And my grandmother, she was, I believe she was in her late 80s, early 90s one time. She said, "Well, the older you get, the faster it goes." And I go, "Oh my God, how, you know, she's like 90 years old, how much faster can it go?" Well, then I thought about it. She was born before airplanes, before cars, before television, any of this stuff. And you think about that, and it's like, whoa, yeah, everything is, all the stuff that has come about in her lifetime. And then I think about in my lifetime, or our lifetime, the things that have happened, the things that have been created. We wouldn't be doing this, you know, 25 years ago or back in, you know, 1900. Back and think of all the things that have been created. And I think a lot of things are good. Most things are good. Some things, well, leave a little bit to be desired. But it all depends on how it's used, too. How do we use our technology? How do we use the things that have been created in our lives? Do we use it for a betterment, or do we use it for maybe not such good things? And that has happened. And so today's focus is upon a truism that Parker Palmer pointed us to when he said, "Before you tell your life what you intend to do with it, listen for what it intends to do with you." Listen for what it intends to do with you. Before you tell your life what truths and values you have decided to live up to, let your life tell you what truths you embody, what values you represent. Each day is an opportunity to embark upon a personal journey to make meaning in the professional area of life. And I think it's not only professional area, I think it's in all areas of your life. It's interesting that, I was going to say 20 years ago, but no, it's not 20 years ago. A little, maybe 25 years ago, I never would have dreamed that I would be doing this today. I was working at Boeing. I retired from Boeing. And then before I retired, I started this. First as a practitioner. And when Jami Lula was singing that Something's Calling, I don't imagine that many of you, I'm quite sure that all of you, have had a calling in your life. A calling that it's speaking to you, only to you. And you say, oh, that's not for me. How many times does that happen? Because I would say majority of the time, you're going to end up doing it eventually. Maybe not some people, but I believe that if you listen and you let it slough it off, that eventually it's going to keep coming and keep coming, and you might just give in to get it off your back to say, all right, I give in. Because I know when I first decided, or I don't know how, was called to practitioner training. I didn't want to speak it out loud to my partner, because by then I knew that once you speak it, it's a done deal. Even before you speak it, but it seems like once you these words come out of your mouth, it's done. And that's what in religious science, we believe that, it is done. And like in the Bible, it says it's done unto you as you believe. And if you follow that calling, it is done. And so there's three points I want to illustrate to bring back to Parker Palmer's points. That's a pickle. One is called Speak to Me, the Inward Journey. The Quakers say, let your life speak. When we allow our lives to begin to speak to us, we would be wise to listen. And I think that's in life in general. Listening is one of the key elements of life, especially in communication with others. Sometimes we think we listen, but we're not. And that was one of the first things I learned in practitioner training, that you listen. You don't, because so many times you're listening to somebody and they might be telling you a situation or a problem or whatever's going on, and immediately you're right there. You're in your mind. You're fixing it, and that's not what we do as practitioners. We need to listen and not jump in and try to fix all the time. So we would be wise to listen. Our life says the very best parts of your being have somehow been set aside or gone unnoticed. And I've seen that example in a lot of people and in myself too. Sometimes there's a gift that you have. Like in the meditation, she spoke about, call forth the gifts and talents and skills. We talked about that last week, that you have. And sometimes we hide them from ourselves. We say, I can't do that. Or, I'm not this, I'm not that. But indeed we are. So we don't need to hide those things. And if others try to hide them, sometimes others will say, like if you're going to do something and well, you can't do that. You don't have the skills to do that. You don't have the abilities to do that. So what are you thinking? And that's when those people, sometimes, you might step away from them and create a community or create a life where people that support you. These are essential elements that must be lived aloud in the now moment and invited into your being as you. You need to invite those things in that are hidden, that are unnoticed. Like basically, take your light from underneath the basket, and let it shine. The word vocation comes from the Latin vocare, or voice. The vocation is therefore about listening to the voice of spirit that lies within and allowing its expression in, through, and as us. To listen to that still small voice. I know sometimes in meditation it's really hard to get still because the mind, I know how my mind goes, that's when the committee wants to meet, that's when 1,000 things keep going through your mind. But if you practice it and just allow that to be and say, basically, isn't that interesting? Just allow it to pass and not focus on it. And then eventually allow that still small voice to speak. Because that still small voice knows what is good for us. Sometimes I want this, I want that, and all these different things, and I don't get them, or I don't get them exactly like I think they should be. And that's why when we do our treatments, we pray and state this or something better, something greater, because sometimes we think too small. I know I've done that time and time, and I still tend to do that. Old habits are really, really hard to break, especially after you've lived as many years like as I've lived. You've done this, you've done that, and you develop, and sometimes you get in that rut, and you can't get out. But if you try, except in Karate Kid, he says there's no try, just do. You can make it through. You can do that. Letting your life speak is about making room in your soul for the signs and messages in, around you, to lift you up. To let life speak and allow the signs that you've been sloughing off or ignoring, more or less, let them in and let them lift you up, because sometimes we need to be lifted up. I know yesterday I needed to be lifted up. I can't explain why, because I'm not certain. But it was sometimes one of those days. I know people said, well, Mercury's in retrograde. I go, oh, well, yeah, whatever. I'm not exactly totally sure what that's about. But, there are days like that. And today's better. So sometimes we need even our own life to pick us up and lift us up. When your life speaks to you, it invites the truth to be known. First in you, by you, because you have to recognize it. Then as you. As the soul listens for the love, strength, determination, and hope that bid it come. You bid it welcome. Welcome it in. Vocation is not a title, a role, a job, or an occupation. It is the quiet yes, whispered to the soul. Your life never stops speaking to you. Listen to the sound of the creation of a life that matters now more than ever. And Sides of Mind, Ernest Holmes says, there is an inner meaning to everything, an inside to every fact, a hidden cause within every visible effect. The cause is spirit. And the second point is speak for me. The first point is speak to me, and now we're speaking for me. The outward journey. Our vocation is an inward declaration of life and how we individually and collectively belong in the world. Where do I fit in? Where do I belong? Because we all want to belong. I think that's one of the biggest desires of a human being, is to belong. I mean, even if you see someone that is a total hermit or isolated and stuff, in some ways they still want to belong. It's that human nature, that connectedness that we seek. Like I like to say that I believe that love is like a golden thread, and that's woven in and around us and through us, and to each person. It goes from one to another, and we're all connected with this beautiful golden thread. So belonging. And when we finally decide to free ourselves from the image of the impossible, our next step and breath are a space and time. We get to declare, I'm possible. I am possible. I can do this. Today is the day that we allow our lives to speak for us, pouring the marvelous light that is emerging as us out into the world. Like I said before, take that basket off. Take those blinders, those shades, the invisibility cloak, as you would have it in Harry Potter. Let those things out. Let them go. Allow yourself to shine. Allow the true essence of who and what you are shine. There is no more separation or living a life divided between one thing and another. We see separation all the time, and I believe we feel it a lot. But in essence, we are all connected. I mean, we're of this divine creation to be here to express the divine as itself. And the big thing is we are given choice, and sometimes that choice we don't make such good choices. But that is one of the gifts we were given. And yet, sometimes we choose to be divided. I choose not to be divided. When our lives speak for us, they speak words of purpose, intention, and wholeness. Purpose, intention, and wholeness. Bringing us into the allness of who we are and who we have been called to be in this world. I know in the meditation she spoke about seeking your purpose. Sometimes I don't know if we always know all of our, do we have just one purpose in life? I don't think so. Just like, are we meant to love just one person our whole life through? I don't think that's true either. The allness of who we came to be and what we came to do. The being leads to the doing. Speak for me the truth that called me into being. Speak for me my name. Speak for me that which makes me extraordinary. What makes you extraordinary? I don't know. I may know, but this is for you to find out. Allow life to speak for you and your ideas and your extraordinary self. Speak to me that others may hear the call of their lives, beckoning them beyond limitations, weakness, and mistakes. This isn't just for us individually. It's for everyone. And the idea that we are not so damn selfish sometimes. I believe if we were more free and less selfish and less self-centered, the world definitely would be a better place, a more loving place, a more compassionate place, a more kind place. Speak for me the fullness of character, the passion, the joy, and the grace that paves a new way. The joy, the passion, the grace. Those three words are powerful. If you think of the joy, because the joy is inner. Happiness, of course, comes from outside of us. Joy is what was created in us, and the passion and the grace. We are all of those things. For God is all those things. And if we're expressions of the divine, then by golly, we must be that too. May the wonder that drew us into this moment become light for our paths and bread for the journeys. And may it continue to speak to us, through us, and for us. It is a mighty work, woven of purpose and unbridled joy that supports us ever and always. So speak for me a life that matters. And Rumi, there's this quote by Rumi, there is a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. I think that is a very extremely powerful statement. Because a lot of times words get in the way. Well, I know they get in the way. Because sometimes I want to express something, and what comes out of my mouth is like talking garb, like baby talk, because it's compared to what I want, I think it's going to come out. So the words get in the way. I know I've shared this many times, but one example where I did not use words, and I chose not to use words, and that was Green Lake. I decided I wanted to go on this walking meditation. But there was going to be no talking, chit-chat or whatever. I was by myself, and the idea was to make eye contact with as many people as I could. Because there's a lot of people going around Green Lake. And it was a wonderful experience. I mean, it was actually an awesome experience because there were people you would meet and you would just make a little eye contact with and get a smile or a nod or some kind of recognition. Then there were others who would quickly turn away because sometimes eye contact means something. Well, it does, but sometimes, some people, it bothers them. And so there was many different reactions to this, and it was awesome. Just like I've been at silent retreats too, where you go around and you express your emotions or your feelings without words. And I think what he said here is that there is a voice that doesn't use words, and there is. And that voice, one thing that voice is love, which is the divine, which is us. Now, number 3 is speak new life. What is mine to do? The call of vocation is to speak new life and to embody the wholeness of life itself. Vocation is the thing you must do once you recognize it. So once you recognize it, then there's a next step and a next step. There's always one more step to take. Once the noise of the world fades into the background, I like to let the committee go on vacation. The voice of your life can be made known. It can be made revered and stand center stage in the spotlight of love. Yes, once all the critics, you dismiss them, and the naysayers, once you let them go, then this can stand, in the spotlight and center stage, like in the center of that circle of light she was talking about in the meditation. Living a life as a vocation is not something that occurs in the recesses of your mind. For it is a new life emerging from within you. Something that's ready to burst out and to be known, to be created. Ann Dillard asserts that how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. And it's interesting because sometimes you say, well, I'll do it different tomorrow. But if we don't do some kind of change, I know my stepfather, he was an alcoholic, and he got sober time after time after time. And my belief is that each time he started again, it'll be different. I'll do it different this time. Well, a lot of times it was different. It was worse. Because it does get worse. It progresses. So how we spend our days is how we spend our lives. Are we going to spend our days moaning and groaning and condemning ourselves, being critical of others? Then that's how our life is going to go. Life is made of a million little things that remind us that the job is not all that there is. Amen. Amen to that. The job is not all there is. And some people, that's who they are. They are their job. Like when I was working at Boeing, I worked in Everett for many, many years, and I loved it there because I love airplanes. Airplanes fascinate me. I mean, I see one in the sky, I have to stop and look. And how many, I've seen them all my life. But once I was transferred down to Auburn, no airplanes, just parts. And eventually I got to the point because the attitude that I perceived it, I have to claim that, as negative. There were so many negative people. It's like, it would just, your body just sucked it in, it's like, oh no. And so finally when I realized I could retire, we talked it over, and I was able to retire at 60, which, is I think pretty awesome. But for a long time, that was one of the things that declared, or whatever, I can't think of the right word, who I was. And I realized that is not all of me. That may be a little bit, and that's actually that's just a tiny bit. But sometimes we hang on to those things because, and one thing I did hang on to because the pay was good, the benefits were good. And the idea, the fear of going out and doing a job interview, oh my God, I would not want to do that today. I was done with that 40 years ago, I guess. But the idea that we somehow think that the job, that our what we're doing to make a living is who we are. It is part of us, yes. There's so much more available to us through the integration of work, career, because work is not necessarily our career. It's part of our career, I believe. Profession, dream, and vocation. To integrate all of these things into our lives and allow them to be there. the integration of a work life and the life grounded in vocation align closely with the Buddhist concept of right livelihood, which encourages engagement in compassionate activity and work to make a living in a supportive and constructive way. I've heard people say, find something you love to do and do it. And that is true. If you find something that you really, truly love, then do it. I know I worked in a, many years, I don't know how many years ago, in a few convalescent centers. And that's not easy work. But I felt a huge degree of fulfillment in that. Because the way I looked at it, I said, these people need someone to help, to assist them, to move through their daily life. Some a little, some a lot. And I said, I hope if I ever got to that point, that there would be somebody that would be there for me. The sad thing about it is that a lot of these people that work in these places, they can't afford to unless they have maybe 2 or 3 jobs because of the pay. The pay is so low. And sometimes you have to, you have to wait out. The poet Mary Oliver calls us to bring our attention to our lives. She says, be determined to do the only thing you can do. Determined to save the only life you can save. To speak new life, you must be willing to engage wonder as a lens to determine how work can become a meaningful vocation. And a meaningful, supporting spiritual practice. Like I said last week, even washing dishes can be a spiritual practice. It's all in your mind. It's all how you look at things. There's certain things I don't like to do. And, they got to be done, Little busy fairy's not going to come in and fly in and do them. If there was, I'd hire one. But yes, things have to be done. And so we can look at things and they can become a meaningful spiritual practice to us. Creating a life that matters is the integration of work and vocation. It involves growth, maturity, deepening, and becoming your truest self. Becoming actually who you came here to be. You may not know it. You may never know it. But others will know it. They will see in you. It's remarkable when somebody sees something in you and you can't believe it. Oh no, that's not me. That's because we're too critical. We're too judgmental. We beat ourselves up too much. We aren't this, we aren't that. We came to the wrong side of the tracks. We're the wrong sex, the wrong age, the wrong color, the wrong this, the wrong that. Too short, too tall, too fat, too skinny. You can, all these things. Don't make a difference. They seem to. But if we allow ourselves to stand up and be, the truest self, the purest self that you came here to be. This new life is you. The new life that you're creating. I know some of us are a tad bit over 50, and we look back and say, well, I don't have too much time to work and this and that, and so. But isn't a few years of doing something that you really love that get you excited to get up and jump out of bed and go to work in the morning. I know my first partner, before he died, he was working as a cook in several different places, and he really wanted, one job he enjoyed in his life was being a bartender. And he said about going to bartender school. And then he goes, yeah, but I'm blah, blah, blah. He was over 50, and I said, well, so? May take, well, how long is that going to take? Maybe a year? I don't know how long bartending school takes. But whatever, if you can get out there and get a job that you love, even if you do it 5 years, it's worth it. It's worth the satisfaction to yourself, to bring that joy to yourself, the new you, the happier you. Allowing that grace in the road to take you to where you want to be. So this new life that is you, it's the allness of you. Because you are everything. And the quiet way in this world of meaningful work. Becoming you is a vocation, a profession, and worth pursuing. Ask yourself that. Am I worth it? And I'll answer for you. Yes, you are. Each of us are worth pursuing. That creates us, that helps us do meaningful work in the world. That makes our heart sing. I like that saying, that do something that find that little spark that makes your heart sing. In the Science of Mind, it says the starting point of all creation is the word of spirit. The word is the concept, idea, image, and thought of God. It is the self-knowing mind speaking itself into manifestation. The word back of everything is its initial cause. The word is the concept, the idea, the image, and the thought of God. The self-knowingness, the self-knowing mind speaking itself into manifestation. Just as we declare and create through manifestation. It's easy to believe that we are living the life that we are supposed to be living. In his poem, Ask Me, William Stafford wrote, ask me whether I have done what I have done in this life, in my life. His point is that we may be living in response to outward circumstances rather than inward desire. Like I said earlier, we take this job and we do it because it brings in, it brings in the money, it supports us. And sometimes it supports us very well, sometimes not so much. But we're stuck and we feel stuck in that. And so the outward things are dictating what we're doing. I need to have that money, but I hate this job. I hate what I'm doing. I walked out of a job when I was early 20s. I had an accident and broke a finger or two, and so I couldn't do that job. And when I went back to the job, it was so extremely boring. You stand in one spot basically with the machine here, you take it out of here, put it over here, put it over here. That's the whole encompassing part of the job. So came lunchtime, I was gone. I said, I can't do this. I just can't do this. So it's like sometimes we just have to say enough is enough. I mean, I hadn't been there that long, but I knew at that point that, there's something better, something greater. out there. When this happens, we must listen to our life to find that center point. To find that center point. Like this month, we're discussing work. It is because we chose it because of Labor Day and all that. So dedicated to individually and collectively to listen to our lives, to your lives, and bring forth the signs, the messages revealed as means of individual and community renewal. Within our heart of humanity is a voice that is always speaking to the intersection of work and vocation. The voice speaks first to us to remind us who we are. Next, the voice speaks for us into the world. Speaks to us, and that's inner. Speaks for us, that's out. It speaks for us into the world of life, work, and vocation, to tell the world we are here. And finally, the power begins to speak life anew. As our true vocation begins to emerge, it weaves together the idea of self and the work of service in the world. Friedrich Buechner asserts that when he defines vocation as the place where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. I'll say that again. The place where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. Buechner's definition starts with the inward idea of self and moves outward toward the world's needs. It wisely begins not with what the world needs, which is everything, but with the nature of the human self and the joy and meaning that resides within you. But the nature of the human self and the joy and the meaning that resides within us. And so for our life work assignment, as Stephanie would call it, I'm suggesting you take this question, and I'll send it out, and ponder it, meditate, journal, however you do these things. And the question is, are you living the life you imagined? If you are, how so? How is it? And if not, how would you like to live your life? How would you like your life to look? So are you living the life you imagine? You know, and the thing is, yes, if you are, that's great, and you want more. But if you're not, you can imagine a new life. You can imagine a new beginning, no matter how old. There's always something new. Because we're made new each and every moment. And that is true. The affirmation is, if we want to do it, it is, the work of my soul is creating a life that matters. Okay, would you like to join me? The work of my soul is creating a life that matters. And one more time, the work of my soul is creating a life that matters. And I know that there is only one life. And that life is the divine's life. It is the life that creates, the life that expresses. It is love, it is joy, it is grace, it is peace. And knowing that all these things exist in the divine, then I know within my being that each of us are those things, that love, that grace, that peace, that joy. We are each and every one of those. And I know being this joy and this peace and this grace and the love, that we extend it out, we express it out. We take that bushel off our light and let it shine. Let it shine to the world and allow the hidden things to be revealed. And I give thanks. I give thanks for this day. I give thanks for this sacred ground. I give thanks for the life, the love, the joy, the grace, the peace that each and every one of us are. And I release, I let it go, for I know that the law does its thing, and so it is. And so it is. Next week is, hopefully, Reverend Vaughn will be here, because we're switching weeks, because we'll be gone the last week, and Reverend Pamela will be filling in for us. They're Reverend Pamela normally speaks on the third Sunday. But we'll be gone. And Friday will be our last movie of the summer movie series, the final engagement of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2, Friday at 7 o'clock or on Zoom. And let's see, what else do I have? I think that's about all I have. We have a guest here today. And I'm going to explain after the service what we do is we turn the thing around and we discuss if you have anything to say or you like, dislike,